So welcome to another episode of Sit-Downs with the Stand-Ups, and I have someone that I truly appreciate, love, respect, someone that I've seen evolve from a young lady into a grown adult woman who's always been a stand-up individual, always spoke her mind, one of the dopest lyricists in the game, and she from the BX. You know what I'm saying? And I told you I don't interview everybody because I don't believe everybody deserves to get interviewed. You know, I see a lot of these podcasts, no shade to nobody, but a lot of these people don't even. I mean, I don't really want to because they gonna say.
I said it. I just don't stop me.
I'm not gonna stop.
A lot of y'all be just letting anybody sit in front of a microphone and just be talking. They be chatting, and y'all just be entertaining the chatting. So that makes them a clown and you're a clown.
Okay, Remy said that, and so I ain't even got to tell you who it is. We know with no further ado is my sis,
yes.
Remy Ma.
How are you today?
How you feeling today, Queen?
I feel good. I'm I'm gonna be totally honest. You told me what you want to talk about today, and I made a decision. I don't even know, probably a couple of years ago, that I'm like, I don't even want to talk about me being in prison or anything like that ever again, because I felt like people were like dragging it. It was starting to become like an ongoing thing to where it's a point in my life that I wanted to forget about. And not necessarily forget about as far as because it's always going to be with me and a part of me. But I just wanted to move on from that. But I love you. And we have a relationship that goes before both of us ever went away.
That's right.
And so when you called, it wasn't even a question whether I was going to do it or not. So I'm here, whatever you want to talk about. There's no questions that are off limits. Let's get into it.
That's the love.
To, inform the people.
Well, I appreciate that. And yes, we're going to talk about prison because, I think what I wanted to do with this podcast, right, is a lot of us who've been incarcerated, who made mistakes, some of us been there wrongly, whatever it is, and we did our time. We stood up. We took the consequences for those actions, or even actions that we didn't do. But there's a lot of people, we sat inside prison, and we utilized that time, and we came out here to be productive, right. And a lot of times that is not shown. It's people want to harp on the negativity. People want to glorify the negative part, and that's not what this is about.
They also want to hold you accountable to whatever your crime was or wasn't, or whatever your sentence was, or just you being an ex-felon, period. People, there's so many things that as productive and as successful as I've been able to be since my incarceration, there's a lot of doors that I still really can't get in because of that. And they won't say it. Mm-hmm. They don't say it. But it'll be things like they want to book Joe for, and Joe be like, yo, my sister, and it'll be like, well, we just want you for this right now. And I know what it is. But they can't say that because then they're going to look crazy because what would be the reason? It's been times that I try to get a loan. I was buying my house one time, one of my houses, and I was trying to get a loan. One
of my houses. You see, that's
no, seriously. I never got a loan before. Every house that I've ever bought, my house, my mom's house, I've always just bought it. So I never got a loan before. And that is actually in itself a result of what happened to me when I went to prison. When I went to prison, I didn't own my house. I was like doing something like rent to own or something like that. Something that somebody convinced me to do. And like, oh, it doesn't make sense to just pay for it now. And a lot of things that I had, it wasn't really mine. And because of the lifestyle that I lived, there really wasn't anybody that could keep up their life and my lifestyle in my absence. So now when I came home, I was like, I'm never doing that again. If I have the money to buy something, I'm just buying it. And if I decide to sell it one day, then I'm going to sell it. And then that's just going to be that. But if anything ever happens, it's mine. Can't nobody come take it, whatever. So whenever I would get a house, I'm just buying it. So this one particular time, because I had other properties, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a loan on this one for like half of it. I'm going to still pay half. I'm going to get a loan for the other half, and I'm going to use the rest of the money that I would have paid for the house to do what I want to do to it. And they sent me through so many, like I sent every pay stub, every bank statement, like everything that you could do. My credit score was what it was supposed to be. I owed nobody no money. And eventually I was like, I want a letter telling me like why y'all denied me, because eventually they denied me. And the first reason on the denial letter was my criminal history.
Wow.
And I'm like, I would understand if like maybe I had a money crime or a fraud dealing with some type of insurance or something that would apply to a home. It made absolutely no sense to me. why this was happening. It was like, we're sorry, whatever. And I was just so pissed off. I was like, you know what? Fine, I'm gonna just buy it, and I bought it in cash. So it really didn't, like, they thought they were stopping something, but for the average person, they would have just literally been stuck renting because they couldn't get a loan. And these are things that people don't talk about. So when I look at the things that's wrong with the rehabilitation that they love saying, and correctional, they don't really rehabilitate anything.
That's a fact.
They don't correct anything. They definitely don't prepare you for what we're going to step into. They rip you literally out of your world right now. You don't get to go home. You don't get to pass go. You don't get to collect 200 and put you in this chaotic ass place where you're surrounded by every type of walk of life. And don't get me wrong, I met some of my best friends that I have.
That's
now
what I was about to say.
That I met while I was incarcerated. Those are my friends. Those are the people that come to my baby shower, my wedding, and my house. The people that I knew prior to that, I really don't even deal with them like that. You really, you find out who your friends are. You really do find out who's there for you and who's not. And when I came home, there was nothing. They just decided, okay, today's the day we're gonna just throw you back in. I didn't know what Twitter was. I didn't know what Instagram was. I didn't know. I never even had an iPhone. When I left, my phone still had buttons on it. So, like, got my big, stupid fingers, and I'm like, yeah, I just want a phone with buttons. It was things like that. I walked around for months with a jail ID because I didn't have enough points and enough of my stuff. All my stuff was everywhere in disarray. I had to find out where everything was so I could go get a driver's license. It had been so long since I had a driver's license that I had to take a test again. It was so much that people just
don't
talk about at all. Like, trying to reconnect with my son, who was 7 years old when I went away and was about to be 14 when I came home, who was a total different person. And I'm a total different person. Like, we have a different relationship. He was a kid in the first grade who I never really yelled at him, never really had to tell him anything. Now he's a teenager in high school, trying to hang out with certain crews, trying to experiment with weed, and just, so now we have a different dynamic. He's just like, I don't know this lady. I'm like, and I don't know you. But no one prepares you. How do you reintegrate, not just into society, but how do you get the relationship back with your children? How do you even prepare yourself to interact in a society where everything is social media, everything is, technology, and you've been placed somewhere where they're still using cassettes.
Still using cassettes.
Still,
wow.
In 2023.
That is
still
crazy.
Cassettes. How
I thought they still using cassettes? I gotta ask some questions because I thought, wow, they still using cassettes.
After cassettes was CDs, so they
ain't even evolved to CD. Wow, that is crazy. Because I remember I had every cassette. I had Remy's album on cassette when I was in Sing Sing.
Like, it's crazy.
And the thing is,
that no one talks about. Like,
exactly. And the thing is, they hold you. They judge you completely who you are off probably the worst 20 or 30 seconds of your life. A mistake that you made, or some bullshit.
Oh, how about that? How about it's not even the mistake that you made. Whatever the DA or the prosecutor put on your paperwork, because that's not even right and exact. Because I have to tell people all the time, like, yo, everybody that's in prison is not guilty, right? The same way that everybody who you walk past in the street, because they're not in jail, everybody you walk past is not innocent.
That's right.
Like, it's some real crazy people that probably should be locked away that you walk past every day. Everybody, you think y'all out here protesting for the police and the wrongdoing. You think every time them and the DA and the prosecutor and the judge got it right every single time?
Never.
Like, are you kidding me?
Never.
You don't even like how they operate to get you there.
Never.
So, like, what are you talking about? And then after you do that, their goal, I swear, it annoys me so much because I be trying to, like, you think people just think logically. This is
There's
why
no logic no more. People don't got common sense.
Don't ever do a trial by jury. The average person is dumb. You'd be better off chancing it with a judge because they have to at least play by the rules that they set up.
This is free game, y'all.
But it's so crazy because I'm like, the whole thing with a prosecutor, with a DA, with the whole judicial system, when they're telling their accolades and they want to stick their chest out, what they say? Accolades. No, what they say. What is their conviction rate?
Yeah.
So that tells you their goal is to convict.
That's it.
They're not here to prove you're innocent. They don't care
at all.
Very, very rarely do they be like, damn, there's no way we could jam this person up. We tried to give them a plea deal. They not taking it. once the evidence come out, we really might not win this one. All right, cool. That's very rare. Most of the time, they'll just give you 20 charges that has nothing to do with whatever happened.
Hope one stick.
And hope one sticks. So this way, that their conviction rate can keep rising. So how are we really sitting here expecting some type of justice whose person, their whole goal is to increase their conviction rate? They want a high percentage of convictions. Like, that, it just doesn't make sense. But people don't look at it like that. I was looking at something yesterday on one of these blog sites. They had posted a girl. She's in school, and she's arguing with a teacher. The teacher's then she's in the teacher's face, and she's like, "You're not gonna talk to me like that. You're not gonna talk to me." And the teacher like has her phone, and the girl, she's in her face, and the teacher does something like this, like, "Yo, get out my face." But she pushed her. No one saw that. No one even saw the fact that this is supposed to be a teacher. Even once you seen her get up, you should have removed yourself, sit down. All right, let me call somebody. Pushed them. The girl's like, "Oh, don't push me." Whatever. It just keeps going. It escalates more and more. The girl's like, she grabs the girl. She's like, "Yo, get your hands off me. I'm telling you, I'm going to start swinging." She tells her, "I'm going to start swinging. Get off of me." She holding her. Girl starts swinging. The teacher throws her on the floor. The girl's fighting, whatever. They pull her apart. The caption says, though, "Teacher's unable to walk. She broke her leg after the girl threw her to the floor."
Yeah, they had her in the hospital with a neck brace. I seen it.
I watched the video. I see who threw who to the floor, who's supposed to be the adult. Whatever was saw in the video, we don't know what happened that led up to that. What pissed me off the most out of everything, if you go through the comments, so many adults that was like, "Yeah, send her ass to jail. She needs to go to jail." And I'm just crazy. So nobody's going to say call her parents?
No, because we've turned into a police society.
Nah.
We think the answer to everything is incarceration, is police, is lock them up,
until
get rid of them.
Until we see a wrongful death. Until it's like,
until it's you.
Reform.
You understand what I'm saying? It's all these people that's holier than thou. They want everybody to go to jail until it's a situation that happens to them, and then they were like, "No, like I shouldn't be in jail, or not my child, or not my family." You understand what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that people don't understand. Anybody can end up in prison. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, any situation, you can wind up in prison. A lot of people judge and they look at you and they be like, "Oh," I listen to comments all day when people be like, "Well, they need to go to jail." When we was fighting for MDC,
not even knowing what it entails.
Not even knowing what it entails. We was fighting for MDC for people to have lights and heat because it was freezing and they didn't have no food. And they was like, "Well, they shouldn't be in jail." So you telling me because somebody's locked up, that they should freeze to death, they should starve, they should be beaten. And this is the mind state. And that's what it is for me, showing people that we are human beings. And a lot of us evolve and come out. There's so many successful people that I'm going to have on this show who've been incarcerated, who've done some of the most, successful shit, some of the greatest shit that a lot of times you don't really even realize that they've been incarcerated because they just show the accolades and they put the rest to the side. But it's a lot of us.
That was one of my things because I'm like, I keep having to talk about that. And I get upset about it. Like, when I see that, I'm sitting here like, yo, if I see one more person, I say, like, I literally wrote, my comment response was so crazy that I was like, all right, now I'm not posting this because I'm going to be on here for the next 2 hours cursing people out.
I'm telling you.
I didn't see not one person like, yo, call her parents. Not one person like, yo, the teacher's supposed to be the adult. When do you de-escalate it?
And that's the same thing with the police. Who has the onus? Who has the responsibility? If you're a trained individual, we paying you. You're paying, you go to training, you go through all of these things to deal with these. If you don't have the ability, everybody ain't built to do it. Right? So that's why everybody doesn't sign up for the job.
I know
because it ain't for you. You understand? But you get it. That's why you ain't going to do it because ain't nobody going to get in your face, but you
But
you
that's
understand
a lot of the issues with in law enforcement and even in the correctional system. A lot of people, if you ask them, they don't have that job because that's their dream job and that's what they want to do. Very rarely you might meet somebody. I know one person, I promise you, they was like they wanted to be a cop since they was young. Coolest kid in the world. And he says why he wanted to be all these things. Most people, they find themselves needing a job. They're out of school, out of college, and they just need to make ends meet. And now they're taking this job on that they don't really want. They don't really understand the responsibility of it, and they're frustrated. So they take, many times I would be inside and I'd be arguing with people like, yo, you don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here neither.
Exactly.
Like, you mad.
But they
like,
locked up too. You know that they doing a bid because they their time, they schedule a bid. What's your bid? What bid you got? Yeah, they actually doing the same bid you are. They don't have a phone.
They can't be in the outside world. They in there with us. But at the same time, you chose to be here.
Not me.
Like, and my punishment for whatever I did or didn't do was to be here. Not to be here and have you come in here and take out your outside shit on me whenever you feel like it. Like, there was people that just literally come in with a chip on their shoulder and just be an asshole to everybody all day for no reason. Well, it was a reason, but nothing that had to do with us. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, those was the ones that they was either very abusive to inmates or they was the ones that something got done to them. Because y'all don't know what somebody's going through. Like, I never look at anybody, and a lot of it, yes, it has to do because I've been there before. Before I went to prison, I knew mad people that went to jail. And I thought I knew what it was and what it entailed. It's not the same as not being there. Like, I have arguments with people all the time, like, nah, I'm telling you, my man was in there, and
but you wasn't in there,
or
bro.
my boyfriend was there. Like, it wasn't
but you. Wasn't
you.
There. Exactly.
It's not. I don't care how many visits you went on. I don't care how many phone calls you answered. I don't care how much package you sent, how much mail, how much comments. I mean, you weren't the one in there. This is a system that is designed within, what is it? What is the statistics? Like 90 days or something like that to like have you go crazy?
Yeah, that's what I tell like, people anytime. So being in the box, like I said all the time, when you go to the box, I think you lose some level of mentality. Like, you lose mental health. If you're in the box for over 40 days, to me, there's some level of something that you lose. I have weight. Like, I mean, weight. I mean, I'm definitely weight. But I'm talking about mentally. Like, you start hearing your thoughts. It sounds like you screaming at yourself. Like, it's so much. Like, I tell people, if you never, like you said, if you never been in prison, I can't explain it to you. It's some shit that you actually got to go through. I hope you never go through.
Right.
So don't get involved in that. You know what I'm saying? That's just something. Just listen to the people who've been through it, and then, learn from that. And then that's what I be trying to do, keep these kids out there. And they think, because when we was young, it's crazy. In the hood, they made you feel like you wasn't real if you didn't go to jail. Like, niggas would glorify the niggas who went to jail. They made it seem like it was some badge of honor. Every time a nigga came home, he was celebrated, he was glorified. And when I went in jail, it was the worst place I ever been
in my life.
And I'm like, what the fuck was niggas happy about being here? Why was niggas making it seem like it was something real about being here?
I don't even think it was that. And I think maybe it's one of those things that over the years it got misconstrued. Like, how they got certain holidays that started out as one thing, and then over years it's like, I think was the celebration is that you came out and survived it.
But the niggas was making it seem like,
I get what you're saying, but I'm thinking that's one of those things that started. It started as, like, if you think about it, let's not talk about how we grew up and we seen people come home from jail. Let's go back 100 years. Imagine what prisons had to be like then. And somebody from our community went through there. When they come home and you came home, you didn't get killed in there, you survived, you still got a piece of the person that you was. That would be something to celebrate.
That's a fact.
You understand what I'm saying? That makes sense. I think that's one of those things that over the years that it just got misconstrued. But it's a miracle to come home and be any type of normal when you leave there, because it's so easy to be strung out on drugs. It's so easy. They don't even diagnose you. You diagnose yourself. You go to the RMU. You tell them, listen, I'm depressed. I feel like I want to kill myself. Let me get some Seroquel. They're like, okay. Yep. Now you're in the med line.
They give you anything you want.
Now you're in the med line, and now you a zombie every time they call meds all day. And a lot of people did that because it was so unbearable. Because the truth of the matter is, when you go away, people do forget about you. And I don't think I actually being here now and have been there, and I look back at times where I feel like I probably may have not been there as much as I should have been for somebody. Time goes so much faster here.
It does.
It goes so much faster. So you be saying in your head, like, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna make sure I get up there. I'm gonna make sure I'm sending the package.
You count every minute. Like every second. You don't miss anything. Mm-hmm. Like, weeks could go by. I'll be like, damn, is that already? You never say that in jail. Mm-hmm. You never be in jail like, damn.
Right, we're in February.
Friday
right
already?
Now, right now we're like, yo, it's February. January went mad quick.
Man, no, we never say that in jail.
It's everything.
Like, everything is in slow motion. You feel it. You see it. You hear every sound. You remember all the it's just, it's something that you can't. But we're going to come back to that. I want to start out. I want to just go through, because I want to give just a full interview.
Okay.
Right? So I want to describe young Remy. Like,
me?
Young Remy. Describe young Remy. I never, like, I always imagine, like, little Remy, just to describe young.
How young are we talking about?
So, like, from, like, 10 to, like, your teenage years, like, right before you rap. What was young Remy like before she started rapping? And when did you start rapping? Tell us all of that.
Probably when I was, like, 11. 12. Prior to that, I want to say, like, from as far as I can remember, like, pre-K, I remember going to Head Start. I remember going to kindergarten, first grade, second grade. All of that was, like, perfect. Like, I had my mom, my dad. We lived in a tenement building on Forest Avenue. It was me, my older brother, my younger brother, and, like, that was my life. Like, my dad owned this is when VHS tapes was a thing. He owned his own store called Mr. Movie, where people would come and rent videos and sit in the back. So I would spend a lot of time in his store. Like, a lot of my friends, their parents didn't have cars. Like, we had a car, and we had carpet, and we had a microwave, and, like, things that people just didn't have. Like, I knew that we had things that people didn't have. Like, we went to concerts. I remember going to a Prince concert and going to a New Edition concert.
You went to Prince?
I went to a Prince concert.
Oh, that's
First
fire.
concert I ever went to was a Prince concert.
That's fire.
I went to a Prince concert. We went to New Edition. We would go to, like, the Disney on Ice, see Silverhawks. All of these things, like, I remember vividly, clearly. And then, like, at some point, things changed. And drugs got involved. And, my mom was going through what she was going through. And my dad, they separated. And from there, I want to say probably from, like, 8 to 12, like, those years right there, we were just, like, in and out of shelters. I remember going to, what did they call it? I don't know what it stood for, but they called it EAU. It was, like, over by the Grand Concourse, right over the bridge, and that's where you went. I know what you're talking about. And to apply to go to shelter.
Yeah.
And we was going through that with my mom, and that was, with that, we lived in so many places. I remember I lived in a hotel in Harlem on, like, 145th Street. We lived in Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn. They just, like, would move you around. So I would change schools a lot. And I was just angry. I was just mad because I hated it. Like, we had some certain places we had to share a bathroom with another family. It was just disgusting. And then my mom had my little sister. So it's like my brother at the time, like, he had moved with a family member. My older brother lived with a family member, and it was like me, my little brother, and my mom ended up having, like, another baby. And I just remember, like, hating life. Like, I wanted my life back, like, the way that it was. And I never ever got that back, by the way. But that pretty much started the animosity. Like, for like, why is this like this? Like, why? How do you go from, every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, mom, dad, drive to school, pick up, go hang out at the store, come back. My mom worked at the World Trade Center. Like, how do I go from that and now, like, we're in a shelter, like a tier 2 with other families and using the bathroom that's down the hall, and I got to keep switching schools. And I liked school. Like, I was, like, one of those kids that actually liked school because in case I don't know, I'm really smart.
Me too.
Like, you're right. But like, people tell me something like, yo, you should go back to school. Like, you could do it online. I'm like, I would never like doing online school because how's everybody going to know that I'm the smartest in class if we're online? I don't like that. But I love school, and I used to always have to keep switching schools. And it just put something in me that I was just angry all the time. So by the time I started turning into a teenager, I was like 12 years old, going on 13. My mom had got her own place. She finally got placed. We got placed, and we were in Queens. And that's how I know this area. I was like, where are you at? Just tell me the address. Like, I'll find it. Like, I grew up here in Queens for, like, my whole high school up until I was probably, like, right before I met Pun and Joe. And I moved back to the Bronx. I was going to school over there. But I was just angry. And then my mom was like, she was going through her own stuff that she was going through. And I used to be so mad at her. And it took years for me and her to get into a space where I can even, like, talk to her because I felt like it was her fault.
I get it.
I felt like it was her fault, and I used to cry a lot. I used to fight a lot, And then when I had my son, when I was a teenager, thinking like that would make my relationship with my mom better, it made it worse because I'm like, I knew what I would do and what I would go through for my son. I was like, yo, like, why she wasn't doing that? Like, I never factored in, you know, the drug addiction and what was going on and how young she really was. Like, you think of your parents and they just always seem like they older than you. My mom was like in her 20s. You know what I'm saying? So you think, even I had this conversation with my brother one time because I used to be mad at him. Like, yo, he was my older brother. Like, yo, why you ain't do this? Or why you? He like, yo, I was a kid too. He's like, it seemed like I was older. My brother was like, probably, if I was 12, he was like 18, 19. He was a kid. So when you young, the same way when you 20, you be like, they 40, all these 40-year-olds, like they seem so much older than you until, you know, the ages start leveling out when y'all get older. And I was mad at my brother. I was mad at my mom. I was mad at anybody in my family who I felt like, why none of my aunts came? Or why my grandmother didn't do this? And by the time I was a teenager and, like, my mom was away for a little while. We had, like, this whole big thing where my crib got raided and my little sisters went with their dad and my little brother went with his dad. And my brother, he was over 18, so he could went wherever he went. And I didn't want to be relocated to a family member. So I like, ran away. I just left. Like, I'm not going down south. Like, now I'm just taking care of myself. And that may have been the worst decision in my life because it pretty much, I know it changed the trajectory of whatever my life would have been had I went and lived with my dad in Georgia. But, you know, it might have been the best thing because I wouldn't have been here to meet the people that I met and do the things that I did to become who I am today. But I went through a lot. Like, I was at your trial. What was I doing?
That was crazy.
Sitting with the people that I was with at your trial.
That's the thing. So I tell this story often because, you know, it's kind of like my little brag thing. So BMO, my man Steve, they bring Remy to the trial. She's a teenager.
I was like 15.
She's like 15 years old. So I'm fighting for my life. I'm sitting in this trial. I'm like, these niggas really trying to lose me over some shit I ain't even do. And I had just got my deal, whatever. So they like, yo, I need you to hear her. I'm like, what are you talking about here, nigga? What the fuck are you talking about here? I'm fighting for my life, and you bringing somebody I need to hear. But when I tell you, we walked outside the courtroom, we on the front of the Supreme Court steps. I never forget it. And she started rapping. I was like, nah, she tough. I said, if I get out of here, then we had to do something with her. And Beam was like, nah, she with me. Don't worry about it. I just want you to hear her, though, Mike. I'm like, Beam, you know this is family. So he like, we'll talk about it later. But I just never came home. You know, it was like 2 days later.
So crazy.
I blew trial. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so that was like the first time. A 15-year-old Remy, she was always dope, man. So when I seen her,
and now if you go to that same exact spot and you look up on the pole, I got my name on the street sign. You
wrote? Oh, that's exactly your name is this
exact same spot.
That is crazy.
They gave me a street sign on the Bronx Walk of Fame. So
right there on that. See, look at this.
It's crazy, right?
That is crazy, man. So, wow. See, this is why I celebrate you. You know what I'm saying? Because you see, it's so many small degrees of separation that, you know, that greatness has taken a turn. Like, our lives have taken turns, and, you know,
but do you ever think about that sometimes? Like, let's just say, because at that time, like, I don't know if y'all understand, like, he's deep into what he's doing right now, but at that moment, when I was standing on those courtroom steps rapping to him, like, he was who he was. Like, it was Mysonne, lefty, got up in a right palm. Like, that, it was a big thing.
It was a thing.
If you wouldn't have blew trial.
I used to think about it all the time, Rem. And it was something that, like, the first couple of years that shit haunted me. Like, seeing, you got to think about it. When I first got signed, like, I was the man. So everybody that started coming, watching Beans blow up, right? Watching Bleak and them drop their album, watching 50 come. Then 50 came, and it was like, wow, these is the niggas that was, they was behind me, literally. Right. Not saying nothing wrong, but
next to me.
You know what I'm saying? These was the niggas that was behind me. I remember I was just having this conversation with Fifth at a Boogie concert, and he was like, and I remember we was at Rucker, and he came to me and was like, yo, they had me as next in the Source magazine. He was like, yo, you remember what you did last month? I'm going to be there next month. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it was they was behind me. So watching everybody blow and having that conversation. And
so I asked you that because I went through that. I actually was probably at the, almost not the climax, but I was there. Like, number one records, like, had already, like, you know, cleared all the competition.
Yeah.
And one day is not that.
It's tough.
And I used to be sitting in there, and, you know, the double XLs is coming through, and the Vibes and all these magazines, and I'm just looking like, and for a minute it wasn't nobody. And then you start seeing people coming out, and it's the same thing. All these people was under me.
Mm-hmm.
And you like, damn, like, I wonder what my life would have been like. And it's the same thing for the first couple of years. You'd be like, yo, it's stressful.
It's
like,
stressful.
You don't want to watch videos.
And everybody is coming to you with it.
Yeah.
Because they know they like, you got your friends like, man, fuck her. She ain't nice. She can't fuck with you, Rem. Yo, they trying to copy you. Yo, you supposed to be here, and you like, I don't really want to hear that right now.
Like, because you're upset. Like,
because you upset.
It was even more so. Like, I will wake up, I have people like at my cell, like, yo, I go on a drive tomorrow. My sister's a big fan. Can you say, if you know what the fuck with
yes
right now, like right
now, because you don't woke up from a dream that you was home. And then you open your eyes and you still in the fucking prison, and they knocking on the door talking about it. Yo, it's a new dude in here want to battle you. And all. I'm like, bro.
I said that on the record that I did on the Plato Ploma album with me and Joe. It's me and Joe. And
make sure you get close to the rim.
It's me and Joe and Stephanie Mills, and it's called Dreaming. And I used to be like, yo, I used to be in my cell dreaming I was home. Now I'm home. And I be dreaming I be back in the cell. Like, I promise you, I used to be in jail. I have a vivid,
you feel like, I swear to God, it's
dream that
you was like,
home.
oh shit. And then, I used to have my eyes closed, and I'd be like, God, please, and I open my eyes, me be home. Because it's so real. Don't make this be a lie. And I open my eyes and still be in that cell.
But do you have the dreams that you locked up at home?
I had to. Yeah. I haven't had them lately because but I used to have them all the time. I used to be the scariest shit.
I have them all the time, and they be so real.
It used to be the scariest shit to me.
I be having my greens. I be in a mess hall. Like, it's crazy. Like, the mind is an amazing thing.
But what was the process? Like, how did you overcome that and get to a place while you was incarcerated to just focus on, all right, when I get outside? Like, what was your process?
Honestly,
I
just kept waking up every day. Like people like, yo, you did that. No, I really didn't. I just woke up every day, and eventually it was the day for me to leave. Like, that shit was horrible. Like, every day, you can ask any of my friends. Like, I told you, most of my friends, that's my friends, was locked up with me. They used to be like, yo, she is a blow. Because I used to be like, yo, I got to get out of here. Like, all day. That was that was my slogan. Like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I cannot take this. Like, because it'll be times, and I never be wanting to say it because I don't want people to get the wrong impression. But there were times that I actually was all right. Like, it's become
and then it
life.
Clicks in your mind. You like,
nah, I'm having too much fun.
What
like,
the
nah,
fuck?
hold up. Like,
for real.
It would literally be in the moment. Like, we'll be sitting there. We done have somebody bring us something in. We chilling. It was drinking, smoking. You like, wait a minute.
I'm in jail.
Nah, this is horrible. This is horrible. Like, I got to get out of here. They like,
yo,
you killing the vibe.
Fuck the vibe. We in jail. I need to get the fuck out of here.
That was me. But honestly, I just woke up every day. And also, I refused to be crazy. Like, granted, I feel like growing up, the way we grow up to where we got to come accustomed to seeing people strung out on drugs, whether it's neighbors, people that we know in the hood, our parents, our relatives, like whatever, used to hearing gunshots, used to being, abused by police, used to being poor, used to being hungry, used to not knowing, like all of those things that we have become accustomed to because it's just part of our life. Like, my parents was on drugs. All of my friends' parents is on drugs. Like, okay, my father sells drugs. All our fathers sell drugs. Like, it becomes something that is just the norm. That's not normal. Mm-hmm. Like, hearing gunshots and not even ducking and just keeping walking like, oh, they shooting over there. That's not normal. Like, that already I feel like we start out traumatized. Being poor, I don't care what nobody says. It's traumatizing. Not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, not knowing where your coat, when it starts snowing, is going to come from, having to cut your pants into shorts because it's hot as outside. All of those things that come with poverty is a mental thing. It fucks with your mental. Being teased, being bullied, all of the things that come with it.
Yeah.
And then you grow up, you're a little bit older, or you could be like the people on social media and they like you do one little thing because you're already angry and hungry. They like put that little kid in jail.
That's right.
Like, so you start out going to jail and to institutions from a kid. When it happens to you as an adult, like you come home and you have PTSD. Like I still don't sleep through the night. I cannot sleep through the night. Like they literally from the rounds that they do every hour, live body counts. We gotta move. We gotta wake up. Like I don't sleep through the night. Anything wakes me up. I have real bad insomnia.
I feel you. I used to, listen to me. It took me, I've been home 16 years now. It took me like 10 years to get past that. Literally took me 10 years to get past that level of insomnia. You know, so I definitely identify with that.
Like you can't sleep. Just even come home trying to eat regular food. Like, or just being in the sun. Like, I run from the sun.
For me, you know, it was one of the big, because you was there when I came home, right? And I remember I used to be around you. And I remember a vivid time when we did the celebrity game. Remember that celebrity game that we did? So this was a time before when you and Joe wasn't cool. Y'all was going through whatever. So I remember we sitting there.
He was always cool. Just was.
I mean, I was always cool, but y'all just wasn't speaking at that time. So he came there and he was performing. Lean Back, and I remember you was sitting next to me, and I was like, Rem, you gotta go perform. You was like, I'm not performing. I'm like, Rem, you gotta go perform. You was like, no, and I was like, Rem, and you looked at me, and because he didn't expect you to perform it, because you wasn't supposed, and you jumped up and killed it, jumped on the bleachers and all that. Yo, it was one of the dopest performances because it was impromptu, and you didn't say nothing, but it was this energy, and I was like, we need to see that. You know what I'm saying? So watching y'all, you know,